what's happening? This is Paul from the Samhain Horror Collectibles YouTube channel, and this is my horror vinyl countdown with Splatteredplastic. So yeah, let's get into it. Right, the first score I ever picked up was Friday the 13th Part 2, and I've got to be honest, this had nothing to do with getting into collecting scores. This was purely bought because of that artwork, and I bought this to display behind the Sideshow Part 2 Jason that I owned, and just that behind the figure just looks great. That's purely why I picked this up. So while that was my first pick up, it was nothing to do with liking the music or whatnot. It was just cool artwork. So once I decided I wanted to get into collecting scores, my first pick up was Evil Dead 2. Now, I grabbed it around 2018, and I've got to be honest, I think I was being a little bit impatient because there wasn't too much in stock on the Waxwork site, and eBay didn't have too much knocking around at the time. So I just picked this up because it was a decent price and it was a Waxwork release. And yeah, the score itself isn't too memorable, so I don't spend too much time listening to this one. But Phantom City done that artwork, and the artwork's sick, to be honest. So it is a nice enough release, but yeah, I think personally that's the better score out of both of them films, to be honest. But yeah, favorite composers is a tough one. I think the only place to start when you're talking about horror scores is John Carpenter in it. Let's be honest, because it's definitely the obvious place to start. But when your run's as impressive as John Carpenter's is, it's tough to argue with it. I mean, Halloween, Big Trouble in Little China, Christine, Escape from New York, Assault on Precinct 13, In the Mouth of Madness, The Fog. The Fog's an absolute masterpiece, man. Like, it's probably my favourite Carpenter score. Yeah, it's just absolutely incredible, to be honest. So, yeah, John Carpenter, while it's the obvious place to start, it's the obvious place for a reason, man. The man's an absolute genius. And similarly with Goblin as well, like their run is incredible with Argento, but not just their Argento stuff, obviously, but like Suspiria, Dawn of the Dead, Profondo Rosso, Tenebrae, Demons. I recently picked up the opera score, and that's incredible, absolute masterpiece. So while both of them are the obvious places to start with horror, they've earned it, man. Like, they absolutely have. So yeah, I think as far as horror scores alone, they're the two, aren't they? Really. And then Howard Shore. You've got to go to Howard Shore as well because his work in Lord of the Rings is absolutely phenomenal. But put that aside, with it not being horror, he's still got Silence of the Lambs, which is absolutely stunning. The Seven score is amazing. Videodrome, the Fly score is absolutely stunning. Scanners even. So yeah, Howard Shore's got a good little run in horror as well. So I think Howard Shore deserves a mention, definitely. I can't not talk about Danny Elfman. Like, Danny Elfman was my childhood and teenage years. Like, I grew up as a little Tim Burton goth, so Danny Elfman's music, like, basically was my teenage years. So it's tough not to mention Danny Elfman, but some of it's definitely nostalgia. Like, I grabbed the Nightmare Before Christmas score, and that's not amazing to listen to be honest. That was definitely a nostalgia pickup. But Beetlejuice is an incredible score. Batman '89 is like, that's Batman for me. That's my Batman. I think it captures the dark mood of Batman perfectly. Edward Scissorhands is one of my favourite scores of all time. It's absolutely stunning. And then Sleepy Hollow, absolutely insane score. I just think Danny Elfman, he's got such a good back catalogue. So yeah, Elfman definitely gets a mention for me. And I think you've got to end talking about John Williams, though, haven't you? Because while he's only got one horror score, with it being Jaws, because Jaws definitely is a horror film, his work is just so recognisable. You hum the opening two notes of the Jaws score, everyone recognises that as Jaws, and it's not only that score that he's got that with. He's got that with Star Wars. He's got that with Indiana Jones. Like, I only have to hear the first 5 seconds of Jurassic Park, and I know exactly what that is. Like, John Williams has got such a recognisable sound, and he's been involved in so many iconic films. Like, it's tough to argue with John Williams. Literally, my Christmas starts when I put the Home Alone score on. So yeah, man, I think John Williams is probably, he's up there with the greatest of all time, isn't he? Let's be honest, and that's not a controversial opinion whatsoever. But yeah, I think John Williams deserves a mention because he just transcends the film world, and he's just in general pop culture now. He's just an absolute genius. So yeah, man. Favourite record labels? I mean, current record labels, you can't get better than Waxwork, can you, really? Because obviously since Funko bought Mondo, like, especially in the score department, there's absolutely nothing. Like, they're concentrating on toys, so fuck Funko, man. They just absolutely ripped that apart. Like, the first thing they done was announce Death Watch's closure. Like, what are you playing at, man? But yeah, man, like, I think Waxwork is tough to beat. Obviously, there's still other labels doing stuff like Scareflare. Like, I've got the Mark Fox Texas Chainsaw release, and that's incredible, to be honest. And obviously, Television do good stuff. I don't own any Television stuff, so I can't comment on how that is. But by all accounts, that's meant to be an amazing label as well. And enjoy the ride as well. They put out some good stuff as well, man. They recently put out Goosebumps, the '90s TV show, and it looked incredible. And Gibson Graphics done the artwork for it, and he nailed it, man. So yeah, like, Enjoy the Ride seem to be putting out some amazing stuff, to be honest. But obviously, Old Death Waltz is the label for me. Like, Death Waltz was the perfect thing because you got Nightmare on Elm Street, you got Silence of the Lambs, you got Bram Stoker's Dracula, like, you got them iconic big scores, but then you also got, like, it gave the smaller films the same treatment. So like Madman, Maniac, House of the Devil, like, every release was outstanding. The Hellraiser release by Death Waltz is incredible, like, absolutely unbelievable. So I think Death Waltz was the perfect label, and like I say, the first thing Funko do is announce its closure. Like, that's nonsense, mate. So yeah, Death Waltz would have to be my favourite label, really. Am I a variant collector? Sadly, not. And it's not because I don't want to, because some releases have multiple variants that I really want to own. But I don't just collect records, I collect masks, figures, prints, Blu-rays even. The way I look at variant collecting is, if I own a score and I don't buy the same score for a different variant, that's just money that could have went towards another collectible that I want that I haven't got. And yeah, I just can't afford to collect everything I want, really. So while certain releases are definitely more tempting than others, I just can't justify spending that much on a score that I already own just for a different colour variant or a different release. So the way I do my collection is, if I want a better variant, I'll sell the old variant and replace it with that newer variant, really. But yeah, the rarest record in my collection, I'm not really sure, to be honest. I think potentially I'll go with this one, but I'm not really sure what constitutes as rare, really, because this isn't numbered. I just know that this goes for a decent amount, and I think it was pressed 2013 or 2014, and it hasn't had a repress, so I know it doesn't pop up too much. So I think I'll probably go with this Mondo release of Halloween. And I mean, the only reason I wanted it, well, there was two reasons, because that front cover is absolutely incredible by Phantom City, and it's also got dialogue on it. So for me, this is the perfect release, because dialogue elevates a score to no end for me. And Phantom City Creative doing the artwork for a score, you're 99% certain you're going to get an absolute banger, and that's exactly what they've done. Like, that's so clean, and then you get that gatefold as well. Like, everything about that release is just perfect, so I needed to own that. So yeah, I think I'd have to say this is my rarest record. Like, what am I currently listening to? Well, since we had a bit of snow about a week or two ago in Liverpool, The Sing, man. I constantly watch this and listen to this throughout winter. So as soon as we get a cold turn, The Sing's out, man. And yeah, that's just constantly getting played throughout the winter. So for me, it's just my comfort. When I can't think of what to throw on, I'll just throw The Thing on, and it never fails, man. It's absolutely incredible. Also, Edward Scissorhands, as I mentioned, it's one of my favourite scores. So yeah, man. Again, it's literally when I can't think of what to put on, Edward Scissorhands or The Thing, and that's what goes on. Like, I just love the score to Edward Scissorhands. It's perfect. And I recently checked out Interstellar, and the score absolutely blew me away. So that's been getting some playtime as well. because yeah, I think that's probably the best Hans Zimmer score for me. It's absolutely stunning. So yeah, that's what I've been listening to. Right, so that was my horror vinyl countdown. And firstly, I want to say a massive thank you to Tim Man and Liam for asking me to get involved, because anytime you get to nerd out about horror scores and vinyl, it's not a bad day, is it? Let's be fair. And as you know, I've been a massive fan of your channel for like 6 or so years. So yeah, man, it's just sick to be asked to be involved in anything you do. So I do appreciate it. Nice one, lads. If you are interested in checking my channel out, it's Samhain Horror Collectibles. And it's pretty broad, really. It's just everything horror. So I unbox masks, figures, vinyl, Blu-ray. There's some film discussions, just like I say, just all things horror, really. So yeah, come over, check the channel out, and nice one. See you in a bit.